I am going to transport you into a story. There is a dark local legend that speaks of deep woods in which a flesh and bone eating monster and its evil familiars live. The monster's familiars are even rumored to eat both flesh and souls. What kind of monstrous things are these? To catch a glimpse of the answer to that question, just stay to the end of this video. This is a Barrier Tale. Greenwich Woods. In the outskirts of the Kingdom of Feldum, the royal capital of the land of Haladar, you can, if you look hard enough, find the deep and lush forest of mystery. Unbeknownst to many, however, there exists an even deeper part of this forest, a path that very few of Feldum's locals dare to travel. This darker part of the forest is a lot denser, as if its trees grow a lot quicker than in the rest of the forest. This dark and dense forest is known as Greenwich Woods. There's even a local legend tied to this place. You see, the locals in Feldum avoid venturing into this forest because they are scared of something living here. The locals claim there's an actual witch that's taken up residence in this dark place, and they call her the Green Witch, an evil green-skinned monster that cooks human bones in her magical cooking pot in order to use them in her dark magic, some say. While others say this witch has the power to find long lost items, as long as they are of deep sentimental value. It is the latter rumor that has brought you here. But you're not alone. You are surrounded by lush and cucumber-colored trees as the sun is peeking through their treetops. In front of you, however, stands a dark opening, completely devoid of light, that makes the other trees seem like small bushes. Unnaturally tall trees that have grown so tall that they are bent and leaning close to each other, resting. This makes this dreadful opening look like a cramped back alley from a capital city, but made out of wood and leaves instead of stone, of course. This is the entrance to what the locals refer to as Greenwich Woods. To your right, determinedly stands the paladin Gina Odrus, with her baby blue chainmail armor glistening with sunlight that peeks through the cucumber-colored leaves above, and her yellow cape rests still against her back. To your left stands, or rather sits, the child-sized halfling wizard Frogrin. His green and brown outfit rests against the grass on the ground as Frogrin temporarily removes his green ale pint-shaped glasses from his nose. He wipes sweat away from his eyebrows. "Finally!" Frogrin exclaims. "I thought we'd never get here. My legs are freaking vibrating. You two do me a favor, will ya? Remind me that we shall never travel here again." Frogrin freezes in place for a moment, but I know it's gonna be worth it just this one time. If that so-called witch could find the long-lost necklace of your mother, Gina. I know you and your mother were really close while she was alive, Frogrin says with a caring and knowing look. "Thank you, my dear friend," Gina smiles. "And yes, Frogrin, this was a long trip indeed. I too feel vibrations in my legs and, well, in other places that I'm not used to." Frogrin makes out a gut-deep laugh, looks at Gina and at you, as Gina's cheeks grow a bit red. Gina clears her throat. Anyway, Gina continues, "I feel a dense magical energy radiating from this place. I actually don't even recognize it. Well, that's a first, Frogren comments surprisedly, as he lets his green ale pint glasses rest against his nose again. Even me being a wizard, you, Gina, usually have better sense when it comes to reading energies in particular. Yes, Gina replies. That kind of bothers me, actually. Why is that? Frogren asks. Because that means that basically anything, good or bad, could be lurking within Greenwich Woods. I mean, one part of the legend says the Green Witch is a man-eating monster, while the other says she is a finder of lost items. And then there's the locals who claim they've heard twigs snapping, accompanied by some kind of fluttering noise. And don't forget the colored lights some locals have seen, Frogren chips in, that have appeared out of thin air, and they've never seen any kind of form or figure accompanying them either, humanoid or otherwise. And then there's the locals who think the source of the light is the evil familiars of the Green Witch, and that it is said that those entities don't only eat your flesh, but your soul as well, since the Green Witch only needs, Frogren gulps, your bones. That, Frogren continues, while visibly starting to shiver, really gives me the creeps. Yes, Frogren, that scares me too, Gina answers absent-mindedly as she looks at the ground, as she slowly closes her eyes. This is for you, Mother. Gina then swiftly opens her eyes and gazes determinedly against the eerie entrance to Greenwich Woods. She looks at Frogren and then at you and smiles. Let's find out which parts of that legend are true. What kind of monstrous things from the local legends will you, Gina, and Frogren encounter in the Greenwich Woods? Before I reveal that to you, if you like my storytelling, hit subscribe so you won't miss any of my weekly stories. And while you're at it, why not claim some free stories and story previews and become an official member of the Tales Tribe? And you do that by subscribing to Beer Tales mailing list. After you've watched this story, you can find a link to the mailing list in the link in the description or the pinned comment below, or visit this address. I look forward to welcoming you into the official Tales Tribe. And now, let's finish this story. One would think that the denseness of the Greenwich Woods would open up at one point, but it doesn't. The cramped back alley feeling that the forest entrance gave off is still as strong, if not stronger. To your right and left, there are only unnaturally tall trees that stand so close together that there are just small cracks between them. It'd be impossible to squeeze through them. There is enough of a gap that one can see what's on the other side of the trees, though, and in front of you there's no clearing in sight. You, Gina, and Frogren carefully walk like this for what feels like a couple of hours. No sunlight manages to reach this deep into the Greenwich Woods, so it's pitch black. But thankfully, Gina's silver sword, Shiligido, has the power to ignite light. Then, as Gina's sword acts as your party's lantern, the back alley-formed forest path takes a sharp turn, and there, uncannily unshrouded by the unnaturally tall and forward-bent trees, you see a building. It looks like a small hut of sorts. A twig breaks in the distance. So far, the only sound you've heard is your own party's footsteps. Another broken twig, and this sound was closer. I don't like this, Frogren whispers while meeting your gaze. At all. The locals were talking about hearing broken twigs, and Gina places herself in front of you and Frogren, interrupting Frogren's whispers, and stands completely quiet. You can see that Gina has a more determined look than usual, and yet another broken twig that sounds even closer. Gina moves and raises her shining silver sword towards the source of the sound as she squints her eyes. As the three of you gaze into the thin cracks between the trees, another broken twig, very close, and something that reminds of fluttering. Then it gets dark. Gina, what are you doing? Froggen whispers in panic. Wait, Gina whispers, and as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you can see thin strands of multicolored lights between the tree's cracks, and they are fluttering. Run! Gina screams as she swiftly hits her silver sword to the ground, which makes its light start shining once again. You can see behind you that those multicolored lights have now moved onto the back alley-like path you've just been walking on. Gina screams in panic. Run towards that house! To be continued. Click or tap the screen here to watch another dark fantasy story from Beery Tales. Check out free stories and get early access with the links in the description or the pinned comment below. And a special thank you to all of my Patreon members who made this story possible.